This is Stu Ellis reporting on behalf of the Illinois Soybean Association Checkoff Program. A surprising number of double crop acres will be produced in Illinois this year, but a more profitable type of double crop is a relay crop, as described by relay veteran Jason Mauck of Gaston, Indiana.
And the relay, the value proposition is we plant wheat only on 22 inches of 60 inches of the ground. And when you space the crops out, they'll grow side to side to accept more sunlight. So I can plant about a third of the seeding population of the wheat, and I can get about 80 to 90% of the yield because I empower the plants. And then I plant my soybeans in between those wheat rows really early. So I use the wheat as pattern tile, living pattern tile, and also weed control in that space. So my beans get started, and then when I harvest the wheat, I put pads on my combine, and I've got beans that have pods on them. So I take in the wheat, I push my soybeans down, and now they're through the sequence, and they're much more valuable at that point in the season. So now I can raise 80 to 90% of the wheat on a much more reduced input, less seed, less nitrogen, comparable soybean yields as if I tried to grow soybeans the best that I can. But I can also lower my herbicide use, my seeding rate on the soybeans, and I kind of play both crops off of one another, their attributes.
So tell me what your end-up percentage might be in typical revenue profitability from doing those, doing that program.
Yeah, so let's say I normally would get 100 bushel wheat, and wheat is priced at $8. If I get 80 bushel wheat, I get 640. So I took a hit there. But on the bean side, when I compare that to double crop beans, I'm planting 3 times as much seeds of soybeans. So I lower my input cost there, and I get the same soybean yield. So if I get 70 bushel soybeans and I'm at $15, that's 350 and 700, 1,050 plus the 640. Math is getting a little mixed up here, but we can basically get better revenue than a corn crop. We can follow the wheat after a corn rotation. We might lower our relative maturity to get it in the ground. But then I create a 3-crop and 2-year rotation. So I can increase my margin substantially when I think cheap of both crops to have my inputs lower than that corn crop. So it's the most profitable crop in our rotation if done correctly.
Is there anything that farmers should not want to do with something like this? Stay away from?
Well, I always tell people start small and cheap and do it on an acre the first year, and maybe 20, and not until you get 2 or 3 or 4 growing seasons under your belt do you really push the acres, because your fertility, some of the pre-existing knowledge that you want to stick to will really mess with your chances. But I always tell people when I speak, don't do A, being wheat, the same, and B, soybeans, the same. It's not do A, do B, the same, and you get a result. It's what is the right design for A, B, and it takes compromise.
That's your soybean update. I'm Stu Ellis. To learn more about the Illinois Soybean Association and the checkoff that pays off, go to ilsoy.org.